Hello there, friends, and welcome to Strangers in the mid afternoon to early evening. I am your host, Wes. With me, as always, is my good friend, Eric. Eric, are you in Florida, man? What the hell?
I am. I'm Florida man. I am the epitome of Florida man. I am, man. It's the first time in a while. Feels pretty cool. Back in my studio. I'm here for just a couple of days though. I flew in like oh god, when the hell did I get here? Like Friday morning. I think I got here Friday morning, like super early, like 7 a.m. And I'm here like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm here Monday, and then Tuesday morning I'm back in California by 9:30 a.m. So quick
uh,
trip.
yeah, that's brutal, man. It's brutal. I'm glad you got to come home, but I'm kind of sorry that it wasn't for any longer than it was, right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen my like I haven't seen my wife Stephanie and my daughter Charlie in like it was like probably almost 2 months since we'd seen each other. And
Wow.
uh and I hadn't been home since before I went to China, like back in July. So, because I've been in California, so it's been a it's been a long time. It feels weird, man. Like I hadn't turned my computer on in like 2 months, and like every you kick everything back on, nothing works the way you want it to. Like
Right.
my mouse was dead because it's a Bluetooth mouse and it's wireless, so that was dead. Nothing worked. Everything didn't want to reboot. I had to like hook everything back up again, and I don't know. It's just like you step away for a little while and everything goes haywire. But man, I miss my studio. I mean, working off a laptop for 2 months is just sucks when you normally have a nice setup and you're used to all your shit and,
Yeah.
um
Even the best laptop, right, just can't even stand up to a high-end desktop PC, right?
yeah, no way. I mean, I have a decent laptop too, and, like, I have a good workstation because I knew I was gonna be going away for so long. I had to, like, upgrade my workstation so I could have something to work with while I was away, but it's just not the same, man. Sitting in your own chair and just your own, yeah, sleeping in your own bed.
Yeah.
Those are the things you forget about and you miss, and I mean, I needed it, Wes, like, no lie, I have no problem admitting it. I was, getting to the end of my rope. I was burnt, man. Like, I've been burnt. It's been super busy. There's been a lot going on, like, all good stuff, but emotional roller coasters and just like constant work and this 4 or 5 day rest, coming home, seeing my wife and daughter and just hanging out and kind of forgetting things for a little bit has been well needed because as you know, it's been crazy.
Oh, yeah, it has been crazier, and it's only gonna get crazier going forward, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here, knowing that you only have this limited amount of time to be at home and be with your family, taking the time out to sit in the big chair over there in Roots' stead is very much appreciated. Although I would have appreciated it even more if you had had a long beard
Beard?
to,
I thought
to
I thought about I'm like, "Hey, Steph, was there any way we could go get, like, a costume beard or something for the show?" Like, if it was possible and I could have done it, that would have been amazing. But who can fill those shoes for Roots? No one.
No one, and I guess this would be a good opportunity to kind of address the elephant in the room, which is where is Roots? Roots is on a hiatus right now. We decided a while ago that he needs a break from VR, a break from the show. I'm sure everyone has noticed that when you tune in here week in and week out, Roots isn't overly optimistic about anything that we're playing or anything that we're doing. And he recognized that. And, it's been like that for a while. But of course, we love having Roots around just to hang out and talk to, um, regardless. So we never suggested that he take a step away, but we kind of left that to him. But this past week, he decided that it was time for him to go away, to get away from it all a little bit, and maybe, hopefully, over time, work back into a position where he's really passionate about the technology and the games like he used to be. He's not gone forever. Don't think that. This is just a temporary thing, but he could be gone for a little while. Like it might be a couple of months before we see Roots again. And if that means getting back to the old Roots that is loves VR and is optimistic about the future of it, then I think it's a small price to pay. So we miss you, Roots, if you're watching, but don't worry about it. Take your time. Come back when you're ready, and Eric will keep your seat warm for you while you're away.
Hell yeah. One thing he hasn't lost his love for, and that's the love of the Virtual Strangers community.
Yes.
And, that was one of his biggest things, like, he was like, "I know that I'm not in a good headspace," and literally, he said he didn't wanna do it for the community. He's like, "I'm just not here right now, and I just need a break," and he'll be back. I guarantee he'll be back. He loves everybody too much. I think this community means too much to him, and literally, everybody needs this break from time to time. You just need to have it, and, he's a gamer from at heart, and he loves everybody. He'll be back. I guarantee it.
Yeah, yeah, he's gonna be back. I know when he'll be back at the latest, but he could come back sooner. So I'm not going to put a time frame on it. But we do know 100% that Roots is going to be back. So everybody, he's still in the Discord. Like he stepped away from the show at the end of our show last week, so he hasn't really been talking to us through the week about what we're going to cover and what we're going to do. But he has stayed in the Discord, and I imagine he probably will still be around in the Discord the whole time. So if you guys miss Roots all that much, just click the little invitation in the description down below and go to the Discord and tag him. I'm sure he'll be glad to talk to you as much as you want to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Anyways, on to today's show, Strangers in the Mid Afternoon. We finally managed to get on the air. Obviously, as usual, we tried to get ready for a show last night, but then it started to get late. And after talking to Eric and trying to be respectful of his time, again, knowing that he's only got a limited amount of time with his family here, we decided it would be better to go this afternoon sometime. So I just arbitrarily set the time of the show to start at 4:20. And just because I thought that the weed smokers out there would probably find that funny, I meant to come back in and change it before the notification went out. But I got playing games in VR and lost track of the time. So wife literally had to come in here and tell me like, "Hey, dude, you're about to go live." And I'm like, "Oh no, we're not ready." So apologies for anyone who showed up here earlier, waiting for us to go live. That's on me.
You even deked me out because literally I figured it was 4:30. Like, I just assumed it was like, I didn't realize it was 4:20. So, like, when I looked at it, when you were like, "Hey, we'll go live at 4," like 4, I was in my head assuming 4:30 when I looked at the link, and I completely whiffed too. So I was like racing to get home for 4:30, and then and you're like, "Dude, we're already past time."
Yeah, yeah, but well, it is what it is. To be honest, I needed a little bit more time in game anyway, so it kind of worked out. But we're here now. Everything gone, surprisingly smooth in terms of production. I've only produced a number, like a handful of shows in the entire 5 year history of our channel. I've maybe done 5 or 6 of these where I'm actually putting the scenes together and driving. Um, so everything went together pretty well. So hopefully we won't have to make too many changes in terms of like the structure of the show and the schedule and all of that. But I do want to take the opportunity while Roots is away and while I am, the man behind the curtain putting it all together. I probably will be actively thinking about the things that we can do to improve, which is something I do every couple of years anyway. We do a channel refresh, and I was talking about doing that early next year anyway, after the 2024 show. So we'll start thinking about that a little bit earlier now, since I'm kind of thrust into the producer role. And what it'll probably mean short term is a little bit more gameplay streams. I'll try to stick to the regular podcasting schedule, but everyone knows how busy we are at work, and there might be a time to time that I'm not able to build out a full show. But I'll keep the schedule up by streaming gameplay in place of the podcast. I'll try not to do it too much, but I will have to do that, I'm sure, every now and then. But Eric, it kind of works out because we are literally midway through September now, which means we're 2 weeks away from October, which is spooky season. And what I like to do for spooky season is play a lot of spooky games. So even if we are like doing more gameplay streams than usual, it should be a fun one because we're going to be checking out some of these scary games.
I love it. I think this is going to be great. Lies Beneath. Do Lies Beneath.
Yeah, we
You like
should.
killed Here They Lie last year. I don't think you can improve on that one, but Do Lies Beneath, that's a really good one.
Yeah, you're right, and I've never finished that one, and, we actually were gonna do Lies Beneath, about a month, 6 weeks ago, when we were, covering Revive, using the PSVR 2 with Revive, and, that was on our list to get to, and we never got to it, so, this sounds like a good opportunity to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Revisit Lies Beneath, finally finish it, which I've never done, and do it inside the PSVR 2 headset, which I'm sure will make it look more beautiful than ever. So I like it. I like the idea. We
Yeah.
got a couple tips in the chat. Classy Grandma with the $10 US says, "Roots, I love you, my man. Breathe, play, and enjoy. We'll hang with you two freaks if we have to. LOL." Well, thank you, Classy Grandma,
We
for
are
being here.
freaks, that's right.
Classy Grandma actually hung out with us on Friday. She came to the first bi-weekly Oktoberfest, the official game community meetup. We went in there and met with a bunch of community members and content creators this past Friday. We had a really good turnout, and Classy Grandma was one of the people who met us in there. It was good times. The Game Cat Andrew Ehrenreich, US $5 donation, says, "Howdy, got the whole week off from work. Was going to fully dive into PCVR and UEVR, and I've been sick all fucking week. At least I've got my Steam Deck." Oh, dude, that's brutal. I'm so sorry to hear that. Like, you don't get too many opportunities to get away from your job and really spend time doing what you enjoy doing, and just to get sick at that moment in time. I guess, I mean, I guess it's for the best. Like, if you're going to get sick, better to be sick while you're at home instead of sick while you're at work, but still kind of sucks that you aren't able to fully enjoy your newfound PCVR library. So get well soon. Thank you for the donation. Hopefully you can salvage at least a couple of days of your vacation. Not sure, Brondo, US $10 donation. My spooky season is from September 15th until Thanksgiving. That sounds good. That sounds good. And if I didn't have so many cool things coming up on the official VR schedule over the next couple of weeks, then I would probably follow suit. But we've got Into the Radius coming out this week on PlayStation VR 2. Definitely going to cover that next week. And I've been really looking at some cool stuff to cover in UEVR as well, that I've been talking to Eric behind the scenes about. So we should have
Mhm.
a good show lined up for next week. But it'll probably be October before we can officially switch over to the scary games. Eric, I saw a game today that I'm thinking about trying UEVR on just because it looks so silly. It was a game called Squirrel with a Gun. Have you seen Squirrel with a Gun?
No, I have not. That sounds amazing, though.
It is what it says it is. It is literally a tiny squirrel carrying like a Glock 9mm that's the same size as the squirrel. And it's like a puzzle game, almost a platformer. And you use the gun to like jump. Like, you point the gun down and you keep firing it, and then the recoil just throws the squirrel up into the air. And it looks just hilarious. And it's Unreal Engine 5. So I think we might need
Hell
to
yeah.
give that one a look.
Hell yeah, that would be amazing. This is the stuff I wanna do in VR, I wanna do different shit, I don't know, like, if especially with Elliot, you talk to Elliot, he's always, trying to come up with different ideas of games to do in UEVR that, you're like, "That game is not gonna make any sense," but, you get in there and you do it, you're like, "Damn, that's actually pretty cool." That's one of the greatest things about, UEVR, and then even, Rocky Parta is working really hard on the Unity injector mod that'll allow a lot
Yeah.
of other games to be played too. But that's the love of it. Like the greatest thing, you can do all the classic games and the first person shooters, and it just makes a ton of sense. But doing the quirky, cool stuff is just I mean, Sackboy and doing Little Nightmares is probably two of the best things that I've
Yep.
done in UEVR, and it's not even a first person thing. Like, I mean, they were one of the coolest things I've done so far.
Yeah, that Sackboy's awesome, and, a lot of talk around Astrobot lately, because it came out, and apparently it's very, very, very good, which doesn't surprise me at all. Like, we all expected it to be great. I do wonder because people were calling it an instant game of the year and one of the best games ever, and I do wonder how much of that is that the game is truly great, and how much of that is great the same way that a saltine cracker is great to someone who's starving to death. Like the release schedule hasn't been all that great this year, so obviously when you get a great game on that backdrop, it's going to seem like one of the best things ever. But it is great, and I'm sure it's wonderful. I've just made the personal decision not to play it until I can play it in VR. And when it comes to PC, I'll buy it immediately and do everything I can to mod it in. But even if I were going to play it flat, I wouldn't do it right now. I would not reward the decision making at Sony with my money on day one, uh,
Mhm.
given the knowledge that they intentionally chose not to make this a VR game. And all you can do is vote with your dollar. I mean, I guess you could go out and be a toxic person on social media and just keep leaving negative comments, but who wants to do that? I'll just keep my money in my wallet, and when they allow me to play it in the way I want to play it, either officially or unofficially, then I'll spend my money then. People keep saying though, what are you going to do in the meantime? Well, in the meantime, if I want to play a platformer, I'll play Sackboy in UEVR because it's amazing and it's really awesome, and you can play it with friends.
Definitely.
Uh, Classic Grandma back with another $5 donation says, Eric, what the bat? Now you want to be a rat with a Glock? I'm so confused. Uh,
Hell yeah.
the, the,
You know what I saw at PAX West? I saw What the Car.
what the car
That
looks
game,
fun, man. It
it
actually
does
looks
look pretty
fun.
fun. Yeah, I had to go walk as I saw, you see the quirky booth that's like all, the What the series, What the Car, What the Bat, What the Golf. So they're like what they look like. I saw the booth. I'm like, Todd, we need to walk over here. I need to see this shit. And I actually watched the demo for a while. And out of all of them, like What the Bat is dumb. And what the Golf I hear is actually really good. I've never played, but Todd played. He said it was really good. What the Car actually looks fun.
Yeah. It's funny. It's a funny concept. You're you're racing around in a car, but it's a car with legs. So like you literally you're running around with legs and racing in your car. It's a funny concept. I think what the bat was supposed to be that same kind of humor and that same kind of concept. It just didn't land, right? The concept just wasn't as good as their other concepts were, unfortunately.
I don't know, it was lazy. It was just super lazy. Like some of the things like the other stuff just seemed super inventive and fun, and like What the Bat wasn't. It was like literally just dumb, monotonous, not fun, the things were stupid. I mean, literally, you hit one thing and then you'd clear a level. You're like, "What the like, I hit one thing, and all of a sudden, the cheers go up like you cleared a level."
Yay!
I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, it was one movement." And, like, it just wasn't, like, it was non-inventive and I I don't know, maybe if they had done it better, like, it would have been way more fun. Like, I'm okay with the What the Bat universe, and no, they didn't kick me out of the booth, by the way. I was waiting for them to come over and look, "You gotta get the fuck out of here." Um, but the rest of the series seems like it's way more inventive and well thought out. And again, it's just like for the VR version, and I get it. There's a lot of people that like it, but for me, the VR version just seemed like it was uninspired and lazy and boring.
yeah, yeah. Maybe we'll just mod what the car into VR and play
You
that
think they give
instead.
that to me?
Maybe, maybe. Did you find anything else good while you were PAX West? Like I know you were there scouting for Flat to VR. Did anything catch your curiosity?
There's a ton of games. Like so for PAX is a very cool event. Not for VR. There was 3 VR booths there. It was probably the weakest VR I've ever seen at an event.
Yeah,
But for flat gaming, it's awesome, dude. It's a really big event. Like it's not E3, it's not Gamescom, but it's definitely bigger than PAX East. And there are big, Bandai Namco's there, like Ubisoft is there. If you think of some of the really, really big, Nintendo's there. Some of the big, video game names in video game, big publishers, big flat gaming, they're all there, and they have these amazing looking booths, and they have, just a ton of stuff going on. They have table gaming at PAX, so if you're a table gamer, you can just there's a ton of table gaming to buy and to go and actually play live. And I did find a whole bunch of cool stuff. Like I'm like a kid in a candy store now, man. I walk through PAX and I'm like, I want to do that one. I'm gonna go do that one. And for us, it's not about just going and finding the classic. Like I want to find the next classic. I want to find the next game that's gonna hit. Like Trombone Champ's not a super old game, right? It's only a little over a year old, and they only put it to Steam and the Nintendo Switch. But we think it's an amazing game, and that's why we want to make it. So just because it's not like 10 years old doesn't mean we don't want to do that game. So if I see a game out there that I'm like, holy shit, that game's going to be great. I think it's going to have a cult following, or I think it's going to have a really big following, or it's going to have a good 6 to 8 months. I'm interested in doing it. I want to do any good games. I don't care what they are.
Yeah, and then it's smart not to lock yourself into any kind of restrictions as a studio and as a publisher, right? Because, like, obviously, bringing over flat games into VR is what we're building our studio on, and it's what we're known for. But it's not the only thing that we'll ever do. Skyrunner, for example, is another project Flat to VR is working on that was never a flat game, but our studio saw an opportunity there to take what was an awesome App Lab tech demo and make it into a even more awesome fully fledged game, and we jumped on it, right? So we're going to do things other than just bring over classics into VR, but obviously that's what we're known for and what the studio's named for, right?
Definitely. Go to PAX, people. PAX is cool, and they're the only ones that are supporting North America. So go to PAX East, go to PAX West, support them.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
they'll bring more VR there.
PAX East was exactly like that too. By the way, there was like literally there was 3 VR booths at PAX East, and the rest of it was all flat. Um, I mean, and Silent Slayer was the only good VR game that they had there that was pre-launch. The other thing that they had was Captain Toonhead. They had the PSVR version of Captain
Wow.
Toonhead there, and then they had like a general VR booth, which was it was like what was that? I want to say it was off in like the Unity section or something, and they just had some like general PCVR games set, like old PCVR games set up over there for people to check
Oh,
out.
okay.
Yeah.
They had that there here too. So it was actually PAX West is actually in two separate buildings. Had the main convention center, and then you have like a little offshoot building that's just up the road. Like, it's just walking distance, but it's like across the street and up the road. In that building, the second building, in the basement, they had they had VR. They had a free play VR area, and get this, using like Rift S's, which is the
Oh,
weirdest thing like I've ever seen. And they had a lot of little like areas set up where you can go in and play, and they were doing like Space Pirate Trainer and like just
right.
super old like weird games. Like I'm like, why would they do it? I think they were doing a Gorilla Tag tournament, which is cool. And they were doing an Among Us thing, which is cool. But everything else was just super old, outdated. And I'm like, why are you guys showing it on Rift Out? Why are you doing Rift S's? Like that's like one of the hardest. Number one, it's like one of the hardest thing to do at a convention center like that. Like one of the hard. And I guarantee if they reached out to Meta or like, hey, we want to have a free VR area, they would have probably sent them Quest
For
3s.
sure.
Shit, I would have taken Quest 2s over the fucking Rift S.
Yeah, my Rift S won't even work, man. I get blue screens every time I try to use it. So I got to imagine it must be a nightmare to try to build an event around that old tech. You know.
I mean, think about it. Then you need a PC for every unit, and then you need freaking base stations. Like, damn, I'd go find an
Well,
easier way to do
no,
it.
not for Rift S. Rift S does
Oh, not
not
for
need a
Rift S.
base.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. No base stations. Yeah,
Arlen of the Arc
they did have base
Reactor.
stations.
They
What
did
did they
have
have
base
base stations
stations?
for? Oh, you know what? Because they had a couple of Valve indexes too, and they
Ah,
had a.
there it is.
That's why they had base stations.
Arlen of the Arc Reactor with the US $5 donation. Could the MMO DC Universe Online, uh, which uses Street Fighter 2 style console controls and runs on UE3, work with UEVR or a possible flat to VR project? Well, Unreal Engine 3 does not work with UEVR. Unfortunately, the plugins that UEVR mod takes advantage of to inject VR into these games only came into effect with Unreal Engine 4, which sucks because there's a ton of great Unreal Engine 3 games that I would love to play in VR. But, could it work as a flat to VR project? Possibly. We've seen games from that generation be modded into VR before. And, one thing I've learned in our short time doing this, Eric, is never put anything past a talented developer. These guys are wizards and can do things that you really wouldn't even think are possible just through their technical expertise and experience.
100%. Not you can't do it in UEVR, but I can tell you now that we're already working on a game that is an Unreal 2.
Boom. There you go.
Yep.
Mm. It's awesome. I always wanted to play that Spec Ops: The Line, which is like a story-driven military shooter from
Hmm.
Unreal Engine 3 days, and I've never played it. I've heard so much about it over the years about how gritty and just real and gut wrenching the story and brutality in that game is. It shows that brutal side of war. And I've always wanted to play it, and I've always wanted to play it in VR. So, like when UEVR was announced, that was the first thing I went back to, was just to see if maybe we could inject that game. Unfortunately, not the case. And honestly, the big thing that put it on my radar was the guy, the creator of Here They Lie, was the
Oh,
director on.
right.
He was the game director on Spec Ops: The Line. So I really would like to go back and play it, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until one day the technology catches up and I can do it in VR.
Hell yeah.
Quadzilla says Spec Ops is a hell of a game. That's
Mhm.
true. I hear. I hear that's true. Handy Capable Gamer says Spec Ops is my favorite shooter of all time. Such a
Wow.
great story. Maybe we should go have a talk with Corey and see maybe if he wants to do something with that. Eric, a lot of
Hell
people
yeah.
love this game.
Hook me up, man. I'll start
Hmm.
talking to him.
Been planning on DMing him anyway
Mhm.
to do something for Here They Lie this next month. So,
Nice.
yeah, hopefully I'll be talking
Yeah,
to him
I
this
don't
week.
know this. I don't think I do anyway. I don't. The name does not ring a bell with me, so I need to check this out now. Now I'm very curious and shit. Yeah, let's talk to Corey.
Yeah, awesome. Anyway, um, let's go ahead and get the show underway. Say hello to our friends in chat. We do have some cool stuff to talk about this week. So hello, old Darth. He says howdy, and I say it back, howdy.
Mm.
Space Dennison says, I do believe that Spec Ops is playable with Super Depth 3D or Helix Vision. Now that would be cool. That's something I would do if we could get it going in Reshade. I absolutely would play it that way. So yeah, that might be something we're checking out. Thank you. JPEG Q, Here They Lie was one of the best, most creative games of PSVR 1 generation. Would love to see it get a sequel. Well, that team is currently working on a another game. It's a studio called Eyes Out, and they are partnered with Epic Games and Bloomhouse Games. And the title was just announced during the Summer Games Fest, and I can't remember exactly what the name of it was, but there are a few screenshots of it out there. It looks really cool. So while we're not going to get a Here They Lie sequel anytime soon, um, this game should be just as original and cool, I would imagine. Steve IRE is in the chat. Mark Pringlesleaf, Arlen of the Arc Reactor, Philosix, Chinatown D, Space Dennison, Old Darth, Bad Robo, JPEG Q, Mr. Lord Beavis, the Handy Capable Gamer, Quadzilla, Lesser Logic, Awesome Tatum, Grandpa Barbecuer, the Game Cat is up. He says, Eric, I totally understand if you don't want to answer this. What is Flat to VR's favorite headset to develop for? Here we go.
Wow. Holy crap. Favorite? Like I mean, I don't know. I mean, like that's a great question. Why-
You can't really answer that though, right? You're not the one developing.
No, that's true. I mean, I know. I probably know because I know I've talked to them every day, but You know, uh, probably I mean, favorite to work on? I mean, every one of the developers that we have are they're all Steam guys, right? Like they all love Steam and they're PC guys because that's what they
Right.
modded in for years. But Team Beef loves PlayStation. You know, they do a ton of stuff with PlayStation, and so does Rocky Parda. Even so does Cab for that matter. And then of course, we're building everything for the Quest because if you're not building for the Quest as a developer, you're already setting yourself up to fail.
Yeah.
So everybody's been working in the Quest. I mean, literally, I don't think they have a favorite. I think they're really happy working on all of them. Um, they probably have more knowledge than anywhere in Steam just because they've been doing it for years, and then probably Quest after that, and then probably the least amount of knowledge in PlayStation. But I don't know. Team Beef has done some amazing stuff on PlayStation.
Absolutely. Madison is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Probably my front runner for game of the year.
Hmm.
Um, but well, I guess we'll talk
All,
about that soon.
all of them are my favorite.
Good answer.
They're
Good
like my
political.
kids.
Good political answer, Eric. Well, I mean, it's true, right? I mean, there's a reason why we don't specialize in a certain platform on this channel, and we don't, stick to Quest, even though that's the most popular one. We check it all out because we love all of it, right? Oh,
we
look at
could we
that.
could even we could even go here because they just sent me the dev kit with one of these.
Oh,
One of these.
what
So
is that? Is that a
this
tracker?
is the new tracker, the new
Yeah,
puck tracker. Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of those. They sent me a whole bunch of these. So these are dev kits from Pico for the Pico 4, whatever, Ultra.
that's cool. Isn't it funny that
Yeah.
a Chinese company is sending their tracker technology? I bet they have the best trackers in the world.
Oh my
Sorry,
God, yeah.
sorry.
I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna put this somewhere.
Don't leave your house.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, that's enough political humor. Moving on. Who else is here? Where was I? Mr. Lord Beavis Looper's here. What's up, Looper? App J is here. Sun WTF is here. Beard of Power 666. Alejimbe the 2-year underground stranger game cat is here. Michael Verheyen is here. And I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. I'm sorry. Hooked Worm, the Hoosier Game Cat is here. Brandon VR is here. Classy Grandma, of course, is here because we're on in the daytime. So, Classy Grandma mandatory if we come in the daytime. Um, who else is here?
You know who loves to come in the daytime
Yeah, she does.
and the nighttime?
I got to get the button, man. I don't have the buttons. I guess
What?
that's
Oh no, maybe that's actually my job. I don't have the button either. Damn it.
I got to find a software solution to this because I don't have the interface and the
I
Stream
know.
Deck and all that stuff. But there has to
Well,
be a digital solution to this where I can set up sound bites and run it through like a audio source in OBS or something. There has to
hmm.
be.
Well, you don't really need the Stream Deck. You could actually, with the Go XLR, just do it with the Go XLR. But it's just it's just easier to do them with the Stream Deck.
Hmm. Yeah. So Roots is going to be away for a while, so I'll definitely look into
We're
a
gonna need.
solution because
We're gonna need it.
we have to have the sound effects, man. It's a trademark. Um,
Hmm.
I was literally talking to a developer the other day about all the channels and all the stuff I do on YouTube, and I was explaining how my what I'll be remembered for probably more than anything is the my mom jokes. Like that's my mark on the VR industry is my
Yeah.
mom. Techno glitch is here. Let's see. Not sure Brondo here as well. Andrew Ehrenreich here. Silver Nexus is here. Piotrick F here as well. Salvador, what's up? Rogue TR is here. Oh, you stayed up or you got up early, Rogue TR. Good to see you. Um, let's see who else. Anybody else? Scrolling. Silver Nexus. Scrolling. Barglesoft's here. What's up, Barglesoft? Who else? Black Market Honey. What's up? Paradise Decay. Good to see you, PD. Thanks for stopping by. Inferno 9 and four wheeling, and that's as far to the north as we can travel. Did we have anybody slip in? People like that dank cheese slipping in. Feels you up also slipping in. Says it's always good to catch us live. Yeah, man. Good. I like going in the daytime when we can. It's just so difficult to do these days. Matt Marjanovic says, I heard Robocop crashes with UEVR, even with the 4090 setup. Is that true? Would love to try it in VR, but not if it's trash. Well, I guess we'll use that as a segue. What's up, D? D slipping in here as well. Good to see you. I guess we'll use that as a segue. Thanks everyone for showing up. If I missed you, apologies. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I'll use that as a segue, and we'll go ahead and we'll just start with Robocop Rogue City in VR. So we played this game, or I played it today. Again, this is not a VR game. This is a flat. This is a game that's available on Steam that we modded into VR thanks to the magic of the Unreal Engine VR injector. I played it with my PlayStation VR 2. But with that said, Roots, much like the comment alluded to, Roots, I called you Roots, Eric.
Love it.
It's going to take a minute to get used to this, man.
I know.
Much like the comment alluded to, this game does not run well. Like, at least it didn't for me. Just to get this thing to run, I had to put the in-game settings all the way down on
Mhm.
low, and then I had to pull my Steam VR resolution back to 75%. And it ran, it was playable like that, but even at that, it still did not run well for me. How did it run for you?
Well, Todd, I mean, Wes.
Fair enough.
Well, so I do have a 4090. So you're running your 3080 Ti, right?
3080 Ti, yeah.
So I'm running my 4090 with an i1300 or something. I think, yeah, i13. So I have a good unit. I have a good rig, and crashed on me. So I got a memory error, lack of memory, not enough memory error.
Hmm.
Initial. So so with UEVR, you always start it up flat. At least get to the title screen. One of the best way. I think you might even have to do it that way, but I always try to do that anyway, no matter what, because it actually allows the game to kind of like build shaders for the first time without having to be in VR, and it just makes things kind of like run smoother. So I ran it. I had it going in flat, no problem. And then as soon as I put the headset on, it said memory, not enough memory issue, trying to read something, and then it crashed. Um, I started it back up after that, and then I never crashed again except for right before I finished. And I think because I had gotten some type of alert on my computer that kind of screwed me up. So, but I did have to turn stuff down. So while I had that initial memory error, I didn't crash then until the end, and I don't think it was the game's fault. I think it was my fault because I had gotten a couple of alerts. If you ever get alerts on Steam, especially, sometimes it can really freak you up.
Yep.
So that was one of the alerts I had was a Steam alert, and like right after that, the game just started glitching on me and I crashed. But other than that, I actually had a really good one with this. But again, I have a beefy system, and I did have
Yeah.
to dial it back from epic to high.
No, you had to take it all the way down to high, huh?
I mean, I probably could have got away with it, but once it crashed the first time and I had that memory compiling error, I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna take it carefully. And I just dropped it to high just to be safe. And I didn't have any issues after that. So I didn't ever switched it back. I probably should have switched it back to see if I could have get it to run. And I might still do that because I do want to go back into this game. Just to check, just to see what happens. Because I never got that memory error again after that. It was only
Yeah,
that one
I
time.
never, I crashed a couple times when I was dialing the settings in, but I never got that memory error that you're talking about. I never saw that. Um,
I've gotten it with one other game, and it wasn't even in VR. It was Remnant 2. For some reason, kept crashing on me, and I was getting that same error with Remnant. I think D was having problems when she was getting some kind of memory error at one point too. on something she was running, but I don't know if she ended up fixing it or not. But I only had it the one time and it never came back.
Something else I did too that I forgot to mention a moment ago is I set my screen resolution down in game. So it defaults to whatever your monitor is. And
Hmm.
obviously, I have a 4K television that I use as a monitor. So I backed that down to 1440p as well.
Hmm.
So that if people are optimizing out there and trying to get these games to work, that's something else you can always try. Now, most of the time, it'll appear grayed out so that you can't change that resolution. But what you have to do to make it accessible is change your display method from full screen to like windowed or windowed full screen. And when you do
Right.
that, it'll let you pick what the resolution is.
That
And
was a good point. I didn't do that, and I probably should have because I guarantee it was pulling the max resolution from my monitor because
yep.
it always shows up on my big arc monitor. One thing you can do though to save on some of your compute power is in the UEVR menu, it'll allow you to not display your image on your monitor. So a lot sometimes, and it's not for everybody, but sometimes the way your setup is, Steam will force you to actually have the flat screen game playing on your monitor while you're actually playing it in the headset also, and then you're trying to run resolution on both with whatever you're computing. The UEVR menu will allow you to cut that off where you're not actually showing on your monitor.
There was another thing that I found extremely strange about running this game, and it might have something to do with the reason why it does run rough on most people's rigs. In the UEVR menu that pops up on screen, it says that the mod UEVR mod detects that DLSS frame generation is
Mhm.
being utilized in the game. If you go into the graphical settings, it's never switched on in there. Like the AI upscaling is off by default. So what it makes me wonder, Eric, is maybe Robocop just automatically using some sort of DLSS frame gen in the background, and there's no option to turn it off because it didn't matter how I set the in-game video settings. Uh, I never could get that error message to go away.
Yeah, I couldn't change it. I looked for it because it's like in big red letters that you need to turn it off. I looked for it, couldn't find it. I was hoping maybe it just automatically has it off if you had your settings. And it ran fine after that. So it's not like it didn't let you do it. So, but I could not find any settings that mentioned that DLSS whatever it was.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't either. And I even went so far as to go into the menu and enable FSR as an alternative, and that didn't do anything. It didn't change anything at all. So
Hmm.
Michael Verheyen says I found it and changed it. Okay, well, good for you.
Where yeah, where was it? Because 'cause DLSS, the one thing that does mention DLSS for me on that in there was already off, and you couldn't change anything else in it because it was already off. So it was like the drop downs were all grayed out, like you couldn't change them. So unless you had to turn that on and then go inside of there and turn something off inside of there, that's the only way I can because I looked at everywhere. I looked everywhere.
He said he found something in Windows and switched it off. And
Windows.
Old Darth says there's a memory setting in Windows 11 called core isolation that can hinder multi-threaded CPUs. Turning it off may
I'm not
help. He says,
I'm
do
not
your
running Windows
research
11
though.
though, I'm running Windows 10.
Yeah, that's
But
same here.
Dee said she had that same problem that was, it was Red Dead that she had that problem with the memory unit. I
Yeah,
do have Windows 11 set up on my computer, but it's on a separate drive. So I have the ability to switch back and forth between Windows 10 and Windows 11, when I reboot my rig, because I wanted to be able to do both, and, but I'm not running this, I'm running Steam on my Windows 10, so
yeah. Same here. I'm running Windows 10. I guess I have two separate builds that I run on. I'm thinking I'm going to upgrade one of them to 11 and keep the other one on 10. But right now they're both set on 10. So Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the game outside of how it runs. It runs pretty sketchy, but for what it's worth, when I got it dialed in, and again, I had to turn my Steam resolution way down. I had to run it on low preset, but it looks pretty good. It doesn't. It didn't really run great. Like I could tell there were frame drops and stuff like that, but visually the game looked really good, even on low settings. So and it was pretty fun. Like it makes me wonder, Eric, because I played this with a gamepad, and I know you played with your motion controller's gamepad style. Um, it makes me wonder if someone has a profile out there for Robocop that will allow it to be played with motion controls. Because I think if this game were converted fully into a VR game, that it would be exceptionally good. Like I had fun with it with gamepad, but the whole time I'm just thinking, man, if I just had my motion controllers, this would be
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah, I wanna aim down sight. If you can aim down sight with this game, it would be sick. Because that's what might probably my only serious complaint with this is, and I tried it with keyboard and mouse too, and, it's better with keyboard and mouse, but there's just something with me and being in a VR headset and playing keyboard and mouse, I just don't like it. I'd rather play at that point, play with a controller. But this game is almost meant for a keyboard and mouse because it has to be fast. This is a Twitch shooter, and you got to be really quick with it and fast with it. And man, to aim down sight, I would feel it would feel like it would feel probably as quick as you're using a mouse and keyboard. I don't know how it was for you with the gamepad, but it was the cursor movement or the aim reticle movement on the touch controllers using the joysticks on the touch controllers was just too slow for
It
me,
was slow,
and
yeah.
I tried to turn it up, in different menus. I tried to turn it up in the UEVR menu, and then I tried to adjust it even in the game menu, and it wouldn't allow me to. It kept adjusting the mouse movement, but it wouldn't adjust the movement, of the touch controllers, and it was just slow.
Yeah, I had the same problem with the gamepad. Again, it wasn't unplayably slow, but you took a lot of extra damage because
Mhm.
you're trying to get that reticle in just perfectly to do headshots. Because to be honest, I love the gore and the destructive environments in the game. One of the things that really make this game cool is you feel like a complete badass. Your even like your basic pistol will make these guys' head explode if you manage to pull a headshot off. And everything you're shooting, walls, pillars, everything just crumbles under your gun, which is really cool. But like you said, moving the reticle super slow, and it made me like even if we could get it so that the reticle was locked to your vision, it would make all the difference in the world in this game. So that like where you were looking at, if it had gaze based aiming, then it would be great, even with the gamepad. But no, I
Definitely.
completely had the same type of problem that you had, where it just felt um, you couldn't really get into a groove because of it was so hard to aim that reticle with thumbsticks.
Yeah.
Um,
I switched over to the mouse and keyboard, and it was definitely way better. It was really good, actually. And if I wasn't in the headset, I probably would have enjoyed it. But like again, something and some people have no problem with mouse and keyboard in a headset. I just do. Maybe it's because I don't do it enough, and if I did it more, I would feel more comfortable. But for some reason, it just doesn't feel comfortable for me. Um, but I think this game is meant to be played with mouse and keyboard because it's so much better and it's so faster. And again, you can change the speed of that reticle. Like you can go as fast as you want to where it's like way too fast, but you can adjust it, man. And when you get that dialed in with that mouse and keyboard, it's really, really good. But then you're back with a WASD, and if you're not used to WASD, and then like control or shift for sprint, and R for reload, H for healing. I mean, if you're not used to hitting those in a VR headset where you can't see the keyboard, that'll fuck you up pretty quick.
yeah, yeah, I'm not a mouse and keyboard guy. Um, Space Innocent says y'all didn't put on head aim. No, man, I'm not a UEVR wizard. I don't know how to just go toggle those things on and off like some people do. So I just
I looked in the menu. I didn't see head aim in the menu unless but I didn't look for any profiles either. So maybe you need a profile, or
yeah.
or do you
It,
not need a profile is what you're saying in space.
Yeah, I think profiles might be the way to go. Here, not only for the aiming issues that we had, but I bet that someone out there, probably even AJ, has gone in and used all of the tools in UEVR to dial in the performance. There's a lot you can do with the mod itself that affects performance. So I bet there's some good profiles out there that would turn this in to turn this from a good playable experience into a super fun VR experience. And there are other people in the chat saying that there are 6 DOB motion control profiles available as well.
Cool. I'm gonna do that then. I'll grab one of those profiles and try check it out. Because I do think aiming down sight would be so good in this game. Like I think because it's a quick shooter. Like you have it's like any other shooter. You need to be quick. And there's so many freaking enemies here. And if you get good with those, like, oh, damn, you're gonna be good with those headshots, Wes.
Yeah, yeah. No, I really like the game, and I do think it's worth putting a little extra effort into getting it into the best state possible because, I mean, at its core, this is one of those. Like arcade style shooters, and that's something we talk about a lot when we talk about something that's not super realistic. But when I say arcade style here, what I mean is it's kind of linear. You have like cinema bits that are over the top, like almost comic bookish in the way that the characters behave, and then the story will put you through um a period of shooting where you go down a linear path. Bad guys pop out in front of you like they would in the arcade. It's like a light gun shooter almost. You take out all the bad guys, you make it to the end of the corridor. Another cheesy cinema sequence will take place, and then lather, rinse, and repeat. You just keep going, you keep going, you keep going. So it feels like one of those arcade games that have the guns mounted on the front, and you and a friend can just sit there and keep going until you run out of quarters. Um, but the production value on it's super high, and you feel like a fucking badass. You feel like a tank because even though like it was difficult to be quick enough with the thumbsticks, it was fine because Robocop is just so indestructible, right? You take all of this damage, and then you just have to hit B to repair yourself, and you keep going. Now there is a limit on how many times you can do that. You can only carry 3 of the repair modules at a time, but I mean they're everywhere. At least they were in the first level. They're literally scattered everywhere, so that even though I was taking a lot of damage, I never even really came close to dying.
So everything gets dialed up as you go, and I think the first level is meant to like kind of get you through it. It's almost like a play tutorial, um, because it does they do get lesser, and the amount of enemies and how many times you get hit gets way ratcheted
Yeah,
up later. Because you end up getting like different weapons later that you're gonna need. Like, so the that first level that TV channel level is I think is like it's definitely the easier level. It's not easy by any means because there's a ton of enemies, but I don't think there's any like I don't think you're really meant to die there. I think you're meant to like learn shit, get through
right.
it, be a playable tutorial. Because it gets ratcheted up pretty damn quick after that.
Yeah. Okay. I assumed that would be the case. Um, but it's certainly you feel like an army tank, literally running bulldozing
Mhm.
these guys at the front of the game. Um, Philosix says, "Nice, I might get that game on the next sale." And I don't know if he's talking about this or Terminator because Terminator is also UEVR
Wait,
with the first person
what?
profile available.
Is it good? Let me
I
look
don't
now.
know. I don't know. Maybe we do that one next week.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
gonna go look at it right now.
but you can get this RoboCop. Um, I think on CD keys they had it for like $20. It's like a $50 or $60 game on Steam, but you can get it from a key broker at significantly less. So if this is something that you want to try out, it's definitely fun enough to warrant your time. Just beware that it is a very demanding game, and even on my 3080 Ti, it was not. It did not run great on low settings. So, Classy Grandma says Flat to VR is going to fix all of our problems with rigging flat games to go into VR. Right? Yeah,
Sweet.
that's the idea. Yeah.
That's the idea. I mean, to be able to do this, like, I mean, this is not a game you're ever getting on Quest. Like, if we're talking mods, like, hey, we're not taking Terminator and putting it on the Quest. That's not gonna
No.
happen. But I mean, I would love to see a time, where it could work where we take something like this and maybe it doesn't have to go to the Quest. Maybe it's just a sick ass cool game and we could go get the IP and we put it here on Steam where you don't have to mod it, where you don't have to deal with jank and it's optimized and the cutscenes aren't all wonky. You know what I mean? It's a true VR game and not a mod of a VR game. Give it the treatment that it would deserve, and then we put it to PlayStation also because I do believe a lot of these games could be played in the PlayStation VR too. That you're not going to get standalone, but I think it could make sense to put it there too, and that is a definite possibility.
We're not that far off from standalone being able to run some of these things. I mean, we're only just now starting to look at what Quest 3 can do when it's not held back by Quest 2. And from all indication, that Batman game that's getting ready to come out is just amazing.
It's
Um,
a
so, what are we, 2 years maybe away from Quest 4? And I imagine that by the time we get to Quest 4, you're going to start to see a scenario where some of these older PC games are actually playable and runnable on standalone hardware. So who
what's this
knows?
Terminator game that everybody's talking about? Is it Dark Defiance?
No, Terminator Resistance.
Oh, Resistance. I'm
Um,
like Dark Defiance looks like it's like a like a real RTS.
no, I think it's Resistance.
Resistance is old. It's from 2019.
Is that the one you all are talking about? Here, let's look.
So I see one came out in February of 2024, and that was Terminator Dark Fate Defiance. That's this one that looks like an RTS to me. Um, then there was Resistance that came out in 2019. Looks like they had Resistance Annihilation line that came out. Must have been like a DLC that came out in 2021. I don't see anything else that's
There's
like
one
newer.
coming out next year called Survivors, but
Ooh, Terminator Survivors.
that's not out quite yet.
Oh, Resistance.
Uh,
So everybody's playing Resistance from 2019, is that's what they're playing in UEVR. Okay, cool.
yeah, and even though it's a 2019 game, I mean that doesn't mean that it's not amazing. We've certainly played older games than that in VR. Let's take a look.
Oh yeah, I'm watching the trailer right now.
Oh no, it looks good, doesn't it?
This could be our next one we do, Wes. This came out in 2019, very positive ratings with almost 13,000 reviews, man. This game has done well. And it's got some DLC. It's got DLC that came out a couple years later. That's cheap. It's like 50% off right now.
Well, I'm down to do it for sure. I
It
do
looks
believe
awesome.
that if we do this one, I'm definitely going to find a profile for it and try to
Yeah.
make it a full on VR game that's dialed in. And because, I had just enough here with Robocop to where it
Mhm.
makes me want to really get it to where it's working correctly and playing well. I don't want to
Yeah,
make that
if I
mistake
was gonna say
again.
if space is still out there, send us the profile you used, Space Dennis, and if just send me and Wes DM us the profile you used, and I'll definitely try it again, with that profile.
Lift Control Gaming says came out 2023. What are you talking about?
There's none that I saw that came out in 2023, not Terminator anyway.
You must be talking about something else. RoboCop. Yeah, RoboCop came out in
Yeah,
2023.
RoboCop,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Anyway,
Terminator Survivors in 2025, Wes, that looks pretty cool, huh?
yeah, it does. Looks. Well, I mean, I
Damn.
love Terminator. Terminator's always been one of my favorite like franchises. And Terminator 2 was one of my favorite movies
Hmm.
when I was growing up. So I'd be definitely down to check out Terminator in VR. Like that should be amazing. I never was like a huge RoboCop fan, but Terminator is my stuff. Like I love it. Anyway, just to wrap up RoboCop here, definitely saw enough potential here to warrant some further time to really get it dialed in and playing well. But even at the level I had it going, I had a lot of fun with it. I would just be I would just urge caution for those of you out there who have like lower and mid powered rigs, because you're probably going to struggle to run this one in VR.
Yeah. What would you think, Wes? Like, I don't even know if I would try and run this on like a maybe a 2080. You can give it a shot.
I
Um,
would not on 2080, and hell no.
and
I would
2080 Ti,
say,
maybe. You
yeah,
could turn everything down, maybe. I don't know. It'd be close.
yeah, 2080 Ti maybe, 3070 Ti, like that's probably because again, I've got a 3080 Ti and I just barely got it going. Um, Now, I'll come back and keep people up to date if I can find a profile that dials in the performance a little bit better. I'll definitely pass that information along to you. But
Hmm.
I would I would urge people to check out PSVR Underground because
Hmm.
AJ, it's like his favorite thing to do in the
That's
world is
awesome.
optimize these games to get them running like he's running on a I want to say a 4060, and he's getting a lot of these games to run really well just through putting hours and hours and hours of optimizing in.
I love
Um,
that AJ's is like the PC aficionado now. He's like
yeah,
just he's all in on the PC VR gaming.
well, he actually enjoys like doing the tweaking, like the performance tweaking, like for whatever reason, like he thinks that that's fun. So he enjoys getting as many frames as he can out of tweaking these games. So he knows like all of the tricks with UEVR and he knows how to go into all those settings and dial it in perfectly. He's way more of an expert on it. Uh, Even in the 2 or 3 months that he's been dealing with it, he's way more of an expert at it than I am or ever will be probably.
So
So
so Michael Verheyen said that he said 2070. I think he said 2070. I could run it. I think he's what he's trying to say. But are you talking about the flat game, or you ran Terminator? You ran RoboCop in VR with a 2070, or you just said you ran it flat with a 2070? Because I can see
yeah,
flat, you're going to be able to run it with, but I mean, running it in VR, in VR with a 2070, I'm kind of shocked.
he says in VR. Well, there you
Yeah.
go. Obviously, we're missing something here, Eric, and not doing something that we should be. But I mean, I literally dialed it all the way back um, in game. So I mean, whatever
Well,
type of tweaks there are left on the table is got to be advanced stuff. You know.
yeah. Well, I mean, I had crashes with a 4090. You know what I mean. So that's why I dialed mine back. Like again, it was when you go in, it will ask you how you want to run it, and it will give you like a performance thing. It'll say, do you want to have it run a performance thing, and then set your settings to wherever it should be. And it did set mine on everything for Epic, but even on Epic, again, I crashed, and then I dialed it back to high, and I ran it, no problem, except for the end. So, I mean, I don't know, it does look good, but I have heard a lot of people with crashes on this game. So, I would just be careful. I don't wanna see anybody go buy it, on their 2070 and not have it work great, but I mean, if you wanna try it, I would.
What's up, Samson? Samson143VR joining us and lurking in the background as he drives. Thank you for saying hello. He said Michael said that, or Michelle said that he crashed at cutscenes sometimes, but would just restart it and it would be fine. Yeah.
You know what? That was where I crashed in the beginning. I crashed at the scene right after the little news scene, where it goes to, like, the color bars, and then it's supposed to transition to, like, outside looking at like, in through like a window of a shop. That's where I crashed. That's why. And then I dialed it down after that. So it was after a cutscene that I did crash. So maybe that's the case.
I was just skipping most of them, honestly. You
they
can hold Y
were,
and skip the cutscene. So
but they're funny. They're funny with UEVR because again, UEVR is not. It's not a built for VR mod, right? Basically it's forcing everything into VR, and it's not set up for VR. So if you go do some of those cutscenes, it's too funny. Like
yeah,
literally, there's a cutscene in the elevator where you have RoboCop and his partner riding in the same elevator, but in the cutscene they morph into each other, and it's her face on his body. It's the funniest
yeah,
damn thing I've ever seen. And then like I don't know. Like in the scene in the beginning at the news station where the guy kind of takes over the news station, you look to the left, you can see, like, there's, like the characters are, like, staged, ready to come in, like, that's how they set it up, right, in the game. They have the characters built in the
right.
game ready to come in. You can actually see that in the cutscenes. It's just funny.
Yeah, they were walking through, like literally walking through the police cars, like like
Mhm.
like there was a hologram or something. It is pretty funny to watch. Because for whatever reason, watching these cutscenes in VR completely breaks everything.
It does.
Um,
Wes, we
anyways,
had a super chat.
we have a super
We had
chat. Is that what you said?
we did. Yeah, we had a super chat. I just don't know if we go too far. I don't wanna miss it. We had a
Oh,
$2 super chat.
yeah, I completely missed that. Thank you, JPEG Q, $2. Eric, kudos on your VR wall behind you. It looks great.
It does. Thank you. My wife hates it. Thanks.
Well,
Uh
she shouldn't be in there anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I got back there? That somebody came up here the other day, and they were like admiring my stuff, and I have all these headsets back there, and they could have picked out any headset they want to like, oh wow, this is amazing, and they go over and they grab the Gear VR I have. They're like, this thing looks awesome, and I'm like, what? I mean, I got
Yeah,
like pretty much every headset you can find up there. Quest Pro, I got freaking 4 Pimaxes, I got like all kinds of stuff, and they picked the freaking Samsung Gear.
yeah, that is kind of crazy. It's also kind of crazy that a lot of people still think that's what VR is. Because it's the time that they tried it and they never went back.
It's like so many it's like, I don't know, it's like one of those, and that and just gotta remember too, Carmack worked on that damn thing. That was
Mhm.
Carmack's baby, and, like, and Samsung gave it away with phones when you bought it at one point. So a lot of people use that as, like, what VR was, especially when Oculus was, like, really starting to boom, and they're like, "Oh, man," like, they were just giving that away. Everybody was trying it going, "Wow, this kinda sucks."
Yeah, I remember back in the day, I really wanted to get it just to try it out, but, apparently I didn't miss out on too much.
No, you didn't.
Anyway, let's move along to the other topic of the day. We actually did play a built from the ground up VR game this week. We actually had one release, on, all platforms, and that game is Chernobyl again. Um, so this game again did launch this week on Quest. It launched on PSVR 2 and it launched on Steam. And lucky for us, Eric, well, I assume the case is the same for you, but lucky for me, I played this on Steam. I hope that you did as well.
I did, yeah. To me, this was I'm like, I'm definitely playing this on Steam.
Yeah, because yeah, apparently it's quite janky, as to be expected on Quest, and I haven't tried it, even though it's in my PSVR 2 library. I did not go in and check it out on PSVR 2 because I just heard that it is a broken mess on PlayStation. Um, but for the most part, I'm happy to report that outside of the usual, indie game jank that you see in these sorts of games, the game actually runs and plays quite well on Steam. I did play it in my PSVR 2 headset. The controllers mapped out and worked perfectly, and I actually had a pretty good time in this game. Eric, what did you think about it?
I think this game is cool. I think it's really cool. I mean, this game has been like in production for a long time. I demoed this game at PAX West in 2022. and played some part of that demo when you're in your kind of hideout with the suitcase and the time thing. That was like part of the original like demo or like their proof of concept of the game. So that's how long this game's been in development, and you can tell like you can feel like it's got some serious polish to this game. And it's cool. It's like our type of game, right? It's got time shift, it's got puzzles, and it freaking really looks good on Steam. Like, and I did not check the other versions out or look at them at all. And I because I did hear that they were a janky mess. But on Steam, Wes, this game looks great. I think they did a good job with like the visuals. Like I was impressed.
Yeah, there's lots of cool visual effects like the one you're looking at here, for when, like, you get, uh, charged up with radiation and your field of view starts to get these, green, like, distortions popping up in it. It uses a number of those different, type of effects, and I love it. I think it's super cool when these developers kind of try something new in VR um, to try to simulate some sort of like physiological symptoms that you may be feeling. This was something we did last week in Happy Funland when you get injected with like psychedelic drugs and you start seeing triple and stuff and everything starts swirling around. I absolutely love it when devs have the courage to try something new like that. And it doesn't always work out, but when it does work out, uh, it's like super original and super cool. So, um, this game definitely does that, and you could tell, like, even though there is a little bit of interaction jank in this game, like you can tell this has been in development for some time because, like you said, it looks really cool, and a lot of like the puzzles and stuff are pretty well thought out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's a little bit where it falls off for me is the puzzles, but I mean, everything else here I thought was high quality. Like I thought the presentation, and again, you do have like some of the little bit of jank, like with, anything you do with like when you have a lot of controls where you're grabbing things and touching things and this whole game is about manipulation, right? It's about manipulating objects in your environment. And anytime you get a game like that, you know, unless it's just like the highest of quality, there's always going to be little issues that kind of slow you down. And I don't really let them affect me too much. Like I'm okay with most of them. But I don't know, Wes, some of the puzzles, that's where it kind of let me down a little bit. But man, the presentation just is so good that I kind of like the frustration I had with some of the puzzles kind of like went away pretty quick.
Any frustration that I had with the puzzles, um, had to do with something that wasn't really explained well or otherwise was otherwise confusing. And I don't mean confused about the solution, but some sort of premise or underlying condition that they don't explain well and you don't account for. For example, like this game, like playing the full version of this game was way better than playing like the demo of the same thing, because when I came in to do this puzzle during the demo, this puzzle you're about to see here, this first one, there was no like instruction as to what you were supposed to do. Um, you come into this box. There's a bunch of switches with colored wires and colored lights, and literally they didn't tell you anything to do. You were supposed to trial and error your way through it, I guess, and figure it out. Coming back to it in the official version of the game, like not only do they have the premise of the puzzle written inside the dome or that you open up, but the voice acting, the dialogue tells you what you should be doing. Although I will say this, Eric, I found it funny because the whole premise of this puzzle is when you unplug one of the wires, all of the colors shift right.
Hmm.
The dialogue tells you that they shift left.
I did too.
Did you notice that?
Well, because I think the top row shifts, the bottom row shifts right, the top row shifts left. So yeah, it gets it wrong because it's thinking the wrong way, but because you can actually manipulate each row, right? And I think
Right.
one goes one way, one goes the other way, and that's how you have to figure the puzzle out. But they don't explain. They always explain it the opposite way of what it shows it in the picture, which is weird because they shows you right in the picture, and they choose to tell you one where it's actually showing you in the at first in the
Well,
picture,
that explains
showing you the other way.
why I struggled with it because I was using the picture as my rules for it.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
I,
And I thought what you were gonna say there was with the voice acting and what it tells you, because that's one of the other things that I would complain about this game. There's not a ton to complain about here. This is our small nitpicky stuff.
right.
But shit, man, if I have to hear them repeat directions
Oh
one more
God.
time, I'm gonna blow my brains out. I swear to God, like if I have to hear him say like, "Put the thing in the wall," or "Look for the thing over here," like 20 times before I figure it out, I have to hear her say that. I'm like, "What? Please stop."
Yeah, I'll eventually I'll release this gameplay video to the patrons and let them watch it. But when you watch it, you're going to notice me just constantly yelling back at that girl because you're right. She just keeps repeating it over and over and over again. And I'm like, look, bitch, that's what I'm doing. Shut the fuck up.
I'm like, "I'm looking for it. Relax. Stop freaking you saying it over and over again. I'll find it eventually." Because that's what happens is all of a sudden you're like, "All right, I can't find this thing. Like I'm doing something wrong." But she just keeps repeating the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, "Shut up. Give me a minute to think and figure this thing out."
I was exactly the same. By the way, while we're on the topic, patrons, I did yesterday upload an exclusive gameplay for you all. It's Lone Echo 2, close to an hour of gameplay with commentary on there. So
Nice.
those of you who are interested, go check that out.
You didn't tell me you were playing Lone Echo 2. How far did you get?
Although this we covered it a few weeks back, and I still have a long way to go, but I made it about an hour past where we made it the first time we covered it. So basically just made it um, outside now where everything's unlocked and you can go to all the different sites. Um, that's the point that I'm at
I
right
think
now.
I've told you this before, but you need to finish that game.
Yes, you
Um,
have. We
so
actually talked
it,
about that when we covered it. We talked about how high you were on the game and how
yeah,
you were saying we needed to finish it.
you need to finish it and you need to get for story wise, you need to finish it. You need to get all the way through it, and then you need to sit for the end and then wait. Because if you wait all the way to the end, like even past some of the or you think it's over, wait, and then you'll get like a little the story changes, which is
Mm,
fucking cool. So like so anybody who was like, "Oh, I beat it," and like there wasn't a twist, well, you got to go back and wait because like I was like, oh, "I'm gonna sit just for whatever reason," and I was rewarded with a very cool ending for it.
so basically, they left it open ended and then Meta closed the studio. So fuck you, Meta.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this other thing with this game too, the wrench thing when you had to open the thing up, how long did it take you to now you had done this puzzle already because you did it in a demo, and so did I. But originally, this was one of my other complaints. Like I frigged with this wrench for a long time in the beginning, trying to manipulate it and get it to like work. And you actually have to like put the wrench and then let it go
Yeah.
to let it snap into place, and then you have to grab it and then turn it, and then it comes off, and then you have to hover over it again, let it go, snap it, it
Yeah.
snaps into place, grab it, and then turn it. So like you feel like you're just going to grab it and just start, turning a bolt, and you can't do that.
Yeah. Why couldn't they give you a ratchet? Yeah. So you
Right.
can just turn it, keep
Well, it's
turning it.
1986 in Chernobyl. They didn't have
Oh,
ratchets
I
then. Oh
guess,
wait. Oh
right?
wait.
No, I had the same problem. It wasn't with the wrench. It was with the crowbar, but to get through the
Crowbar.
door
Yeah, same thing.
originally. Like I sit out there for probably 5 minutes trying to crowbar the door, and it takes like literally squatting down for the thing to pop up in your vision, and then you figure it out from there. But yeah, I had a similar pain point. What did you think about the watch? You know, the system that they have with the inventory and the navigator and all of that.
So I actually think it's cool. The interface is not done well because it takes too hard for you to get in your menu.
Yeah,
Like if I have to hit that button and wait for the whole thing to like the whole watch to light up, then to get into the menu and then to manipulate the menu. And I don't know how many times I did that, Wes, and I by mistake hit the wrong menu that I wanted,
yeah,
and then I had to get out of it, and then I had to start the whole process over again. Like literally for an maybe you could do it for the hints and stuff like that, but an inventory system because you're in it constantly with this game. Again, it's all about manipulation and using shit in your inventory. You're in it constantly, and to get into your inventory is actually pretty daunting here. Not daunting, but it's just you should be able to access it very quickly, like a button press, and it should give you the inventory menu.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I like the idea of the watch, and I like how it's laid out initially. Um, but there's a couple of things they could tweak to make it way better. First of all, is the angle on it. Like, in order to get the thing to pop up and stay up, you have to kind of be facing it perfectly. And there's a little disconnect between your arm in game and your arm in real
Mhm.
life. So in real life, you kind of have to really twist your wrist back into an uncomfortable position to get the watch to pop up and stay up. So if they could adjust that angle a little bit, I think not only would it pop up easier, but it would stay up and be easier to interact with. The other big problem I
Yeah,
had is uh, I didn't really mind having the inventory in there, but I didn't like that you could only access 3 items at a time. Like,
mhm.
they have the inventory in the watch. You bring it up, you press the inventory button, the inventory pops out in space, and you can grab the items out of air, which is super cool, but there's only 3 items at a time, and, like, literally, you can have a dozen or more items in that thing, and you just have to keep scrolling through it, and like Eric said, there's so much kind of jank with the interaction that half the time you pick the wrong thing or you accidentally close it. And again, they're taking what is a pretty cool concept and just not really executing on it quite as well as they could have.
Yeah, and for me, the watch too, one of the things that was different for me was so usually, usually games are pretty good about like if you have something on your body in VR, it feels like it's on you wherever your body should have it on you in real life. And here, the watch for me was like mid forearm, up near maybe even closer to my elbow. So I kept looking, trying to turn like I'm going to turn it like a watch on my wrist, and it's not there. It's like up here. So then I'm like, I'm trying to look at the watch like this, like it's up near my elbow. And then, like you said, it's uncomfortable, and you're in it a lot. Like,
Yeah.
for an interface that you're using so much, um, yeah, I want easy access, and I'm like, for everything else, I'm okay, like, if I had to, hit the watch face and hold it down to get to access it, for everything else, I'm okay with. Just for the menu, let me give me a button press and have a big menu wheel pop up, it's okay, like, you don't have to be like everything doesn't have to be like, "Oh, I have to have it, like, on my arm." I mean, that's not real life either, okay? So, it's okay if you have a wheel pop up in front of your face, especially if you're using it constantly.
Or they could just pull the inventory out of the watch and give you like a backpack or something like most other games do.
Yep.
For what it's worth, I like the rest of the watch. Like
Yep, me too.
that they do stuff in this game that other games don't, but probably should. At any time, you can go into your watch and it will tell you what your next objective is for your mission. And I don't mean just a generalized kind of instruction for what you do next, but it will tell you exactly the very next thing that you should do. It'll break down every mission point into every little action. Grab the wrench, turn the bolt. Like it really breaks it down a lot for you. So in a game like this, it's a puzzle game where you could find yourself getting stuck and not really knowing what to do next. You can always go into your watch and it'll tell you what to do next. I thought that was great. The other thing I really liked was the navigator. So not only does it tell you what you have to do next, but there's a function on your watch called the navigator. And if you press that, a little arrow will pop up on your watch and it will always point to the next thing that you need to do. So if you're lost, if you're stuck and you don't really know what to do, you just read the next objective, hit the navigator and follow the arrow and it'll put you right to where you need to go. Um, so many games, Eric, could really have used something like this because a lot of people hate puzzle games in VR because they hate that feeling of being stuck and not really having any kind of clue of what to do next. So I thought that was a really good thing that they did in this one.
Yeah, definitely agree. I thought again, everything but the inventory I liked about the watch too. I like the way you put stuff in the watch and the way you could just kind of like throw it in there and it would just grab it and pull it towards you. I love, finding the little memory fragments and throwing them into the watch. Like
Yeah,
exactly what you're talking about with the memory, with the hint system and like the little arrow. I thought was cool. Like everything else with the watch, I thought was absolutely perfect, except for again the way you had to manipulate it on your arm to get it to work, and then just the inventory, just because it was again you're trying to get into it so often
yeah,
that it just took too long for me. Like and again, if you hit the wrong thing then you gotta start that whole process over again of getting into the menu
yeah.
when you're just trying like, "I'm just trying to get my freaking wrench out of my pocket here. Don't make me do this again." But other than that, I thought the watch was great. It reminded me a lot of the watch in Wanderer, and how that was working, as well.
Gamertag VR popping into the chat to say hello. What's up, GT?
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of similarities here that you can draw from Wanderer, and this game is kind of like a more indie version of Wanderer because there's similar structure to the game. There's a similar theme to the story, um, and again, it's a lot of fun. We've been kind of nitpicking some of the pain points in the game thus far, but my general overall impression of this game on Steam. Um, is that it's a fun game and it's a fun adventure. It's got a really cool story, and I love the gadgets in this game, Eric. Like a lot of the technology that they've built into it is very interactive and tactile. The sort of things that you can only really do and appreciate in VR, like the suitcase time machine and some of the other things that you interact with. I just thought had a really cool look to it and really added a lot to the game.
Yeah, I mean, when I said in the beginning that this game is all about like, physical manipulation of your environment, that's exactly it. And they do it well. Like they do a really good job of making you have to grab things and physically turn them and, do these, like just manipulating time, where in another game might be a simple button press. This whole thing sets you up of you're going to go back or forward in time and you have to do all of these things and manipulate these things to do that. But it never got monotonous for me. Like I don't know how many times right in the beginning you use that suitcase to jump back and forward in time, probably 3 or 4 times. And at some periods at points in time, you need to do it pretty fast because you're actually dying of radiation poisoning at one point. You have to start doing them faster and faster. But it never got boring or frustrating for me. I actually liked it. I mean, some of the dials again, when you're doing a lot of manipulation, hand manipulation in the game, maybe it's a little janky and you go to grab one dial and you actually grab the other. But I would say for the most part, the manipulation parts of the game are done really, really well.
Yeah. How long did it take you to figure out the date format on the time machine? Because because they have you put in the date that you want to go to, but they don't tell you that it's the European format where the day's
Mhm.
first and the month is second. How long did it take you to figure that
Took me a little time. I'm not gonna I won't lie. It took me a little bit of time, and I'm like, "What the hell am I doing wrong here?" And then I looked, and I noticed that the middle dial, where you would normally have your number days leading up to 30, 31, only went to 12, and I'm like, "Okay, now I have an
out?
idea what's
Right.
going on here."
Yeah, I had a
But yeah.
similar process. There's a few things like that in this game where you're kind of left scratching your head a little bit. The next puzzle past this one puts you in a room and there's like a machine that um, some kind of data recording device that you have to like place an antenna on, and they tell you to go like place the antenna in a place where it gets an optimal signal. They said the
Mhm.
case on the thing would show you where to go to, to place it, but there was no, at least for me, I couldn't ever see any kind of visual indicator that I had it right. I just basically ended up taking it and placing it by the window, and it worked. But again, just another example of kind of the dialogue on a puzzle leading you kind of in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and you're gonna know that this was a developer who was, not native speaking English because I
Right.
think that's where a lot of this stuff goes wrong. Like little things, nothing major. It's just little things like that, and when in the directions and when you're trying to figure things out. Because I had the same thing with the antenna, and you because they tell you you're going to see a physical indicator, and you don't. You're hearing a audio indicator. that get you close, like you'd be using like a Geiger counter or like
Oh, I didn't even notice
like
that.
like a metal detector. As you got closer to where you needed to put it, it'd be faster, 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 faster until you were like it never went like a one single tone, but it got really, really fast. And if you were close enough to anywhere at that spot where it was, the indicator was fast, then you just drop it there and you're okay. Like I did put mine on top of a table that was next near that window where you were too, and it worked fine there too. So um yeah, I just
Okay.
think it's just
Oh, I
I
just
think
got
it's just a
lucky.
translation thing. Yeah.
No, so like I took it around and I had some kind of an indicator that told me I had it right, and I don't remember if it was the game saving or maybe a Steam achievement popping up telling me that I had just done something. But literally, it's like
Mhm.
some by chance I noticed something changing, so I just kind of laid it down there by that window, and thankfully it worked. But yeah, again, a little bit of confusion, but again, not anything game breaking. Thankfully, um, because as much as we there are all these little pain points and things you have to work through. Um, I do think it's worth it. I think that there's a really good game here, and considering the slow release schedule for VR over the last few months, this is one of the better games that we've had throughout the summer. Um, I think it's unfortunate that they couldn't polish up the PlayStation and Quest versions to kind of be on the level of the Steam version, but at least these Steam players get a pretty decent puzzle adventure here.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think this again, Steam version. I don't know about the other two. I did hear that there was some serious jank with the other two, and I'm sure they'll probably patch it and fix it, and you'll be fine. But if you can do the Steam version, it looks amazing. The visuals are great. Like these are top notch visuals. Like these are some of the best visuals you'll see, in a VR game right now. And the gameplay is really really good. If you like, I would say if you're a fan of like Red Matter, if you're a fan of like Wanderer, those types of games. I mean, this has a lot to it that are like those games. The story is cool. Like I'm a big Chernobyl story fan. The history of Chernobyl, like there's a really, really good, I think it was an HBO miniseries on Chernobyl that was out a few years ago that is so freaking good. And the story behind Chernobyl is like how that whole shit went down is super interesting to me anyway, maybe not to everybody, but to me it is. And then to see this now, like the whole history behind it, and then there's a lot of stuff going on in the story of this with the time travel and Chernobyl and things that are happening. Like I'm very looking forward to going back and figuring out what is happening here West because there's some weird shit going down.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the cooler things I liked about it was the whole mystery of it because they set it up really early on that you don't know who to trust, right? Like,
Hmm.
you're kind of just going with the commander that you're talking to in the beginning of the game, but again, very shortly after you start playing it, you start to see and hear things that make you question whether or not you can trust this person. So, going forward, when we get back into the game, it's going to be very much, determining who's lying to you and who's not. Again, in a very sci-fi time travel, um, off the wall alternative history, we'll call it. Super cool is the bottom line. Um, uh, Mark Pringlesleaf wants to know if you completed it. No, we just these are impressions. We didn't complete the game.
No, I'm looking forward to it though. Like I'm probably, I don't know, probably a couple hours into it. I've gone through the first two missions. Um, Probably like 2.5, maybe 2.5 hours. I've gone through the first two missions plus one other. I've time
Right.
traveled, I think, 3 or 4 times now.
Um, Shapeshifter says, "I think I'm better off with Into the Radius in just a couple of days." Yeah, it's a very different game, but yeah, I would say Into the Radius is probably a better game than this, but it is a very different game than this as well. And honestly, um, Into the Radius is kind of hardcore. So, like, I think for a lot of more casual gamers, they'll probably enjoy this a little bit more than Into the Radius, just because it's not that hardcore survival game like Into the Radius is.
Yeah,
Uh,
completely 2 different games, huh? Like I mean,
Yeah.
if you're like into action only and you're like, I'm not a big puzzle person, I probably would not recommend this, but um, for everybody else, I definitely would. Like if you're a person that's like, I just don't want to sit through any puzzles, then no, this would not be for you.
Space Innocent says PSVR 2 is not the best version. No, PSVR 2 is not the best version.
Not
But for
yet.
what it's worth, I did play this on my PlayStation VR 2, just plugged into my computer.
That's cool.
Um,
How was the visuals that way? So I played on my place on my Quest 3 using Steam Link. Worked fantastic, by the way. Had zero issues, and it looked awesome in that headset. So tell me visuals of what this game looked like in the with the OLED.
it looked beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful game, and I really hope you get to sometime soon check out your PlayStation VR 2 plugged into your computer. It really is uh, exceptional. And again, it's my go-to now. I haven't even touched my G2 in probably 6 weeks. Um, no, it's great. With this game specifically, obviously it's very colorful. There's lots of like glowing green and all of this stuff, and that stuff looks great. But the one thing you really notice is how dark the dark areas are.
Hmm.
Um, for example, like that next level I was just talking about that had the data collection machine on it. I probably got stuck for uh, 5 minutes on that because I couldn't find the power button. The power button is in a dark area, right? Like it's in the
Hmm.
shade, the shadow, and I just couldn't see it. And I kept getting stuck trying to figure out how to turn this thing on. I literally had to pull the flashlight out of my inventory and like flash the flashlight on it so that I could see it. Just because the darks were so dark that I couldn't find the button without a flashlight. But no, it looks great, man. It looks really really good. As is the case with most games that I've checked out on Steam with my PSVR. Looper, the Underground Game Cat. Speaking of, on the Game of the Month episode, you said that Dark Sword was better on PSVR 2 in many aspects, except for lack of multiplayer. Was it just an assumption, or have you played? Did I say that? If I said that, it would have been an assumption. Uh, yeah, it wasn't that there was anything that I pointed to specifically. It was just assuming that having the OLED, having the haptics, that sort of thing. The same assumptions that we make for most games. Uh, yeah. So don't take that to heart. If I did say that, then don't take it to heart.
I'm taking it to
Uh,
heart.
awesome Tatum. Yeah, that's on you, bro. Awesome Tatum says, "Ha, can I vote Space Marine as Game of the Month?"
I
People
actually
keep talking
bought it.
about this. Have
I
did
bought
you
it.
did you check it?
It's in the library if you want to go try it. But the problem is it's not a UEVR engine game. But I bought it because I'm getting many flat games now for obvious reasons. But yeah, I bought it if you want to go check it out. I have not had a chance to try it yet because I bought it. I don't want to try. I didn't want to try it on my laptop just because this is going to be a kick-ass game. So I'll probably try it before I head back to California. But I heard it's really good.
Hmm. Yeah, people keep talking about it. I really didn't have much interest in it, but it seems like it keeps coming up in every conversation. So maybe, maybe we check it out. Here, and Dee says she wants to check it out too. She said, I want to play the next Warhammer. I assume that's what she's talking about, was the Space Marine.
Yeah, yeah, it's in the library.
All right, cool. Thank you. Maybe we'll check it out. Is that Unreal? Is that something I can inject or?
No, that's what I wish. It's not. It's in its own proprietary engine.
Oh,
I
boo.
can't remember what the engine was for that one, but yeah, it's not Unreal. Like, because I thought about it too. First thing, of course, I'm like,
What did you think
damn it.
about this puzzle to get into the safe to find the other two numbers? Like I guessed at it, but I didn't think like I was like, obviously it wouldn't be these numbers here. This is
Hmm.
too obvious. And it actually turned out to be what I thought it was. I was kind of
Yep.
surprised.
Yeah. Same here. Like, I'm like, yeah. It was like, you know what one got me? And it was stupid, but the when you use the UV light to find the numbers on the wall in the safe house, I
Yeah.
didn't realize that you had to find two separate sets of numbers.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, "What?" 'Cause there's 2 spots on the thing, but I assumed it because it said the directions were go find one of the number set. Like, I'm looking for
Mhm.
one number set, so I figured I found the one number, now I'm good. I'm like, "What am I missing here?" Like, what I'm like, "Do I do the numbers, like, backwards for the other thing?" And then I finally started just looking around again with the UV light, and I found it, but it probably took me I mean, stupidly, it probably took me 20 minutes to figure that out, maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah, I had the same sort of thing, and, another example of the game dialogue kind of pointing you in the wrong direction here is I found the, the number that goes in on the right first, and when I found it,
Oh.
the dialogue popped up and told me to put it in on the left. So that's what I did. I put it in on the left,
Mhm.
and then after a minute of not finding the power button, I started looking around, and sure enough, I found the other number, and then it all kind of came together for me. But yeah, I had the
Mhm.
same exact issue that you had.
Yep.
Um, Awesome Tatum says that the Space Marine is amazing. It's old school hack and slash crazy environments.
Nice.
Yeah, that is nice. Anyways, overall impressions of this are good. There is a little bit of jank, a little bit of confusion, but stuff that's none of it's too major, none of it's too hard to figure out and play through. Hopefully, it will continue to be iterated upon and get even better with time. At the very least, hopefully, we see some updates for the Quest and PSVR versions of the game because I do think they have a good game here. Eric, do you think this is just a case of them maybe launching it 4 months sooner than they should have, and that maybe they should have just held on to it a little bit longer?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can definitely tell that they made this game for Steam. Like, this game has been made with Steam in mind for so long, and I guarantee at some point along the way, they're like, "We need to make this go on every platform," and then they were like, "Oh, they're building every other platform off of the Steam platform," and that is way harder to do than do it the other way. Right? Like, so if you're building for Quest, you can move it to Steam and then optimize the shit out of it fairly easy, at that point because you've already built the easiest version. Or well, you've built the easiest version to build off of. If you go the other way and you have this kick-ass Steam version of a game, and then you try and cram that into another platform, especially like something like the Quest, that's extremely difficult and can take a lot of time, and there's a lot, and if you're not used to making games for the standalone headset, it's daunting, and I guarantee that this game was probably ready for Steam for a while, and they held it because they wanted to do simultaneous launches, and then PlayStation has its own ball of wax that you have to figure out to go through. There's a lot of different things you have to make for that system. It's completely different than Steam or the standalone. Like Pico and, any standalone, Pico, Aichi, Quest, anything that's built in the Android system with a Qualcomm chip is fairly easy. So the ports are so easy. When you have something like PlayStation, which is completely different than any other platform, it's harder to do. I think that's the biggest holdup for them. They probably would have been better off, Wes, just to release it on Steam and then to say,
Yeah.
"Hey, in 3 months, we'll have the other 2 versions ready."
Yeah, and I get why some studios don't want to do that because they're afraid that if they launch on Steam, that the game will kind of be old news by the time it hits the other platforms. But the way you get around that is you put it out on Steam and you put an early access tag on it. So that way, when you come to the other platforms, you can pull the early access tag off. You'll call it your launch, right? You can still call it your launch, and that you're launching simultaneously even after having it on Steam for a year and people buying copies of it. Um, so yeah, there's definitely a better way that they could have gone with this, but it is what it is now. Hopefully, they continue to polish it up and fix it because I do think that they have a really good, really cool game here, and hopefully, just everyone will get to experience it, not just the Steam players.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, I think that's going to wrap that up. Again, recommend on Steam. Don't recommend on the other platforms, but I do have it. I have it on PSVR 2. I'll be watching for them to patch it, and if it gets better, of course, I'll come back here and report that to everyone. And But until then, steer clear of this unless you're playing on Steam. All right. Let's see here. Get back to this. And I think we did it, Eric. I think we have a show under our belt. That wasn't so bad, yeah.
No, you did all the work. It was great for me. This is great, man. I love doing these shows where I don't have to do a whole bunch. Like Todd does all the producing here. You and Roots usually all do the producing, and so I just come
Well,
in and talk shit.
this was fairly simple. Tomorrow might be a different story though. As we move on, I think we're going to do a full numbered episode tomorrow with news. That's not confirmed yet. I need to look at the news. If there's no news, then we'll do a real time review or something tomorrow instead. But we will be back on the air tomorrow, 100% for certain. It'll probably be a little bit on the late side for those of you in the UK, as Eric and I both have work throughout the afternoon tomorrow. So it'll be probably right around dark for the on the East Coast. So we'll say probably around 6 p.m. on West Coast, around 9 p.m. on East Coast, and probably around 2 a.m. For those of you in Europe. So that's when we'll be back. Again, we're looking to do a numbered episode, but that just depends on if we have cool stuff to talk about, and if we don't, who knows? Maybe we'll do Gunfire Reborn tomorrow, Eric.
That would be crazy. I would love if we can't find good news, which I don't know. I have to see. Like you said, you have to see what's out there. But shit, that would be awesome. I would be down for that.
Yeah, yeah. Eric already had Gunfire Reborn in his library. It is on sale on Steam right now. So I went ahead and picked it up yesterday and put it in my library. And it has an excellent VR mod that I haven't tried yet. You can play co op in it. It's got roguelike elements, it's got RPG elements. It looks really, really good. So the first time we get a real chance to play it and stream it together, we're going to. So. Um, yeah. Chinatown D says I may actually be awake for the episode tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. We're gonna try not to do it at midnight. Those shows get kind of rough because I don't know what the case is with you, Eric, but for me, Tuesday is my Monday. Like Tuesday, I've got like multiple meetings in the morning that I'm leading, and so it's tough for me to stay up and do late episodes on Monday, and then show up and do client meetings on Tuesday morning. So definitely looking forward to getting in and getting this one done by midnight, hopefully.
It's
Um,
amazing we have so many people that work with Impact Reality and Flat VR Studios now, and everybody is still busier than ever, and we have I couldn't even tell you. I can tell you, but like more than quadruple the people that we had, a year ago.
yeah,
And we're still busier than ever. That's how busy it is. And my Tuesday's my Monday. My Monday's my Monday. My Tuesday's my Monday. Wednesday's my Monday. Thursday's my Monday. Like, yeah, it never ends. But it's good in
yeah,
a good way. Like it's all good stuff. Like you complain about work, because it's hard and you have to sacrifice home stuff and whatever else you want to do. But man, the stuff we're doing is I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, but it's so rewarding. And it's something I've wanted to do in my entire life. So
yeah, yeah. It
a lot
is
of time
hard.
to make
It's
this work.
hard. It's like being on call, but you're not a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that. You're on call 24/7, and most of your waking hours, you're at a computer, multitasking the whole time, right? Always three, four, five things going on at the same time that you're juggling, and it is very difficult. But the difference between this and anything else I've ever done in my life is I care about the industry that I'm working in, and I care deeply about the people that I'm working with. Like I've never been able to say that before about people that obviously you have friends and people that you care about, but I love you guys, and I know it's the same coming back, and the whole team is like that. I love everybody on the team, and just that alone makes your threshold for the amount of stuff you'll deal with that much higher, right? Because you don't want to let anyone down. You want to do the best that you can, and it's very motivating, the situation that we're all in, and we're very blessed to be able to do. do this and work in the industry that we're all very passionate about. With that said, though, it makes it very difficult to have hobbies like YouTube, but we're going to stick to it. We're going to keep doing it. Thank you, Eric, for stepping in. Honestly, when Roots told me he was going to take a break, I just assumed I'd be on here going it alone. I did not expect you to say, well, you know what, I'll just step in and do all the shows. Like, that was a big surprise and it's a big help. So thank you again for being here today. And I guess we'll see you tomorrow. Huh?
Hell yeah. You guys would do it for me. I would 100% do it here.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, if you like the episode, ladies and gents, you know what to do. Subscribe, hit the thumbs up. You can catch us on Discord. Like I said, there's a invitation in the description down below. Be sure that you're on Discord. Roots is still on Discord. Everyone can go say hello and check in on him there. And we will be back tomorrow with some content. We don't know what kind of content it'll be just yet, but I can assure you it will be awesome. With that said, friends, I'd like to thank you all once again for watching. For Eric, I'm Wes. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
See you later.